Good morning, it's August 18th. This is To My Liberal Friends. Well, the Great Alaskan Summit has come and gone, and there are winners and losers in the event. Vladimir Putin scored a victory by coming to the United States and making Russia appear to be the equal of the United States. They are not, but he can claim that as he returned to Moscow. He walked off his plane on red carpet and posed for pictures with President Trump. And that's what the Russian people will see in their media. Putin has made it clear in the past that he wants to return Russia to being a superpower. And in his eyes, the way to do that is to recapture the nations that left the USSR. Ukraine is only one step in the process. In the post-meeting speech, Putin said, quote, "We are convinced that in order for the Ukrainian settlement to be sustainable and long-term, all the root causes of the crisis, which have been repeatedly discussed, must be eliminated. All of Russia's legitimate concerns must be taken into account, and a fair balance in the field of security in Europe and the whole world as a whole must be restored," end quote. That's a clear signal that he wants Eastern Europe under the thumb of Russia. Now, Donald Trump had some wins and losses. He did not get the agreement he so desperately wanted, that being a ceasefire and a path to ending the war. Putin would not budge on his issue and demanded that much of eastern Ukraine be turned over to Russia. Trump did win by meeting with Putin and now can unite the rest of NATO with Trump promising further military support for Ukraine. It puts Putin on notice that the best he can hope for is a continued stalemate in this war. The Democrats and liberal media are now denouncing Trump for even meeting and speaking with Putin. They say that talking to a monstrous Putin is treasonous, foolhardy, or unnecessary. They forget that FDR openly courted, joked with, and even praised Uncle Joe, even greater monster in Joseph Stalin, who by 1941 had the blood of nearly 20 million Russians on his hands. Stalin had already invaded pro-Western Finland and Poland, and between September 1st, 1939 and June 22nd, 1941, he'd enabled Adolf Hitler to overrun much of Western Europe, hoping Germany would destroy both the West and itself in the process. But FDR, he's hailed as a hero because he met with these people and helped unite against Germany. Secretary Rubio made it clear that Trump was not negotiating with Putin over territory. That was up to Ukraine and the European leaders. He also said that additional sanctions could derail the peace talks. I disagree. Putin only knows strength. It was a win for Trump to have the follow-on meeting with Zelensky and the rest of the Western leaders. They will now send a signal to Putin and the Russian people, provided they can get that information. They are solidly behind Ukraine. Trump made it clear that when the war ends, there may be Western nation military in Ukraine to ensure the peace is maintained. And apparently Putin also understood or agreed that in the end there might be a Western military presence in Ukraine. Trump now has a dilemma. At the conclusion of the meeting, he said that progress was made. Now, we don't know what was discussed in the 3-hour meeting between the two leaders, and we don't know what they may or may not have agreed to. While the two were on the podium after the meeting, it was strongly suggested there would be another meeting with Putin, saying it should be in Moscow. Trump smiled, but certainly did not agree to that suggestion. In my opinion, Trump made a mistake in parroting Putin's claim for full peace agreement before the fighting stops. You have to stop the fighting and the killing before any agreement could ever be reached. This allows Putin and Russia to continue hammering Ukraine with air and drone strikes, killing civilians and destroying Ukraine's infrastructure. So what does Trump do now? He set high expectations for the meeting in Alaska, and in my opinion, they did not come out the way he would have liked. He said he wanted a ceasefire and did not get it. After the meeting with the rest of NATO, Trump needs to send a strong signal to Putin. That signal should be harsh economic sanctions against Russia. It should be economic sanctions against any nation, read that India and China, that continue to buy Russian oil, allowing Putin the funds to keep fighting. It should be sanctions that the people of Russia feel. Their economy is in a free fall right now, and any domestic pressure on Putin would be a positive thing in this conflict. As for Ukraine, I see two endings to this war. Ukraine could lose more land and survive as a secure and sovereign nation, or it could lose both land and sovereignty and fall back into the Russian sphere of influence. Ukraine's leadership has quietly come to accept that it doesn't have the military strength to get its borders back in full. Last week, Ukrainian leader Zelensky indicated his willingness to negotiate about territory in calls with President Trump and European leaders, but after a ceasefire that freezes the current front line. That will be more likely be the topic of discussion when Zelensky and the European leaders meet here in Washington. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.